Hello everybody, Jamie the Board Game Man. In today's episode, we are going to go back in time. We're going vintage, back to the year 1976. This is by Ideal Games. 2 to 6 players, ages 7 and up. It's called Welcome Back, Kotter. So in this game, up your nose with the rubber hose is what you're trying to do in this game. You're trying to get all these words at the front of the class, or you can draw the words, and the first player to come up with up your nose with the rubber hose wins the game. So let's head on over to the gamer's table, where I'm going to show you how to play Welcome Back, Kotter. Alrighty, here we are at the gaming table, and here is Welcome Back, Kotter. So you have your classroom right here, as you can see. You also have the Up Your Nose with a Rubber Hose cards, and you can see they come like little cards like this, and all you're going to do is going to place them face up, and like you see here, it's going to show you where to place them. You're just going to place them right over those like so. Okay. You're also going to have Kotter cards. You're also going to have Woodman cards. You have one die, which this, you can tell how old this die is. It's almost like an orange color. But I love when it's the original die. Even though it's very easy to replace, it's really cool to kind of have the original. Just how it fades over time. And then you have the 6-player markers here. Unfortunately, I'm missing the base to Epstein here. But we have Washington, Rosie, Horseshack, Holly, and of course, Barbarino. And there is one item I am missing, is the rubber hose itself. I guess you're supposed to have it up here, and I don't have it in the game. So I have to look online to see what this thing looked like, because I totally forgot to check before I did the episode here what that looks like. So hopefully maybe I'll come across it. Maybe at some kind of estate sale or thrift store, I can come across that little rubber hose to make this complete. So I don't have the rubber hose. That is one of the components in the game. But you don't need it in order to play the game. It's just something you win at the end when you spell out the words. That's pretty much it. So the object of the game is you're trying to get each one of these cards to complete the saying, up your nose with the rubber hose. And once you get one of these cards, you're going to place it in front of you. You do not have to get them in the order. You can get them in any order you need to get them. As long as you end up spelling all 6 of those cards in a row and on your in front of you, then you win the game. Now you can see here it says they have a slot for each player, whoever you want to be. So obviously a Barbarino starts here, Epstein starts here, Horseshack starts here, and so on. So let's do 3. So we'll put Barbarino starts here, we'll put Holly right here, and Horseshack right here. Let's see, it's just a 3-player game here. These 3 we'll put in the box, like so. And I do not have the original instruction booklet either, but luckily the person I bought the game from actually made a photocopy of the actual instructions. So that was actually cool of them. So, and so on. So, but anyhow, so what you're going to do is you're going to roll the die, and you're going to move that many spaces. Now you'll see, I don't know, it's kind of tiny. Let me go ahead and bring this up a little closer. That way you can see, but you see, without spilling everything here. I'll try to put this straight up so I don't have to take the cards off. You'll see that there's little black dots on the board. Each one of those constitutes a space. All right, so go ahead and put this back down. I'm glad I successfully was able to do that. That way you can see. I'm not sure how much you can see with this being down here. I'm going to go ahead and put these back in their spots. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll the die, and you're going to move that many spaces. And if you land on something that tells you something to do, then obviously you follow what it says. Unless it's up, you land on a player and it says, like, say, in this game we don't have a Rosie, but it says, move this over to Rosie, or Rosie needs to do this. Obviously, you just ignore it, and then you just keep on playing. If you land on one of these top desks, obviously you're going to pick up that card. So you can see right here is just take up an up card, your card. So that's one way to get these cards in your possession, at just making your way up to the top of that row. Now, when you make up to the top of the row, you do not have to go by exact count. So let's just say Barbarino's right here, and he's 2 spaces away from getting this up card. If he rolls a 3 or higher, he can go ahead and just go 1, 2, and you're good to go, and you're able to pick up this card and place it in front of you. The only time you are not able to do that by exact count, or not by exact count, I should say, is if you're going after your very last word. So say you have up your nose with a rubber, but you need that hose, okay? what you'll do is you kind of make your way up there, but once you get up kind of close, you have to get that by exact count. So let's just say you're, like we just said, you're 2 spaces away and you roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6. You're just going to have to pass. And then the next player goes until you either roll a 1 twice or at least you get a 2 there. Then you can pick up that last one, and that is how that works. And that's how you get your last word. Obviously, if you land on a draw a woodman card, you would have to draw what the card and what the card says. Same with Kotter. If you draw a Kotter card, you must draw and say what it says, do what it says. Like Woodman, let's go ahead and do a couple of these. I'm beginning to like you, Woodman says. Take a word from any other sweat hog. And obviously these are sweat hogs. If you ever watched the show, they were all called sweat hogs. This would actually be a pretty powerful card. So if you had a word that you still needed and another sweat hog had it, guess what? You get to take that word from that sweat hog. Let's look at a couple more of these. Come to my office. I have a nice long lecture you'll love to hear. That's what Woodman said. And it says, lose your next turn or give another sweat hog a free turn. So there we go. So that's one of the other cards. Let's look at one more of these Woodman cards here. What? You want me to join the sweat hogs? Woodman says. It says, each sweat hog rolls a die. High roll takes a free word. So that's a pretty good card too. So that's just an example of some of the Woodman cards. Then you look over at Kotter. We draw a Kotter card. Your report card is sunk. Your grades are below sea level. Move back to your start. Ooh, that's a bad one. So you definitely don't want to come across that one. So you just have to move back to start. Let's look at one more Kotter card here. Kotter says, your deodorant has failed, and so might you. All sweat hogs take an exam. Now, when you take an exam, what happens in that, when a card requires all sweat hogs to take an exam, each sweat hog rolls a die. The highest roll scores the best mark on the exam, and of course, if there is a tie, obviously those people that tied will re-roll again to get the highest one, and the winner gets to choose a free word card of his choice from the front of the classroom. So that's what happens if you draw a card that tells you to take an exam. You just all roll the die. Whoever gets the highest number wins. And if there's a tie, those two would go carry on. And you pick any one of the words that you want to do. And at the end of the game, whoever gets all 6 of these cards in front of them has to yell, up your nose with a rubber hose. And that's when you're supposed to take the rubber hose, which unfortunately I don't have. And then you win the game. Now, of course, if you have 3, 4, or 5 players, maybe you want to continue on, see who gets second and third place, however you want to do that. But that's the object of the game, is to get all 6 of your cards, of these cards. And if you're the first one to do so, you yell that phrase out loud, and you are the winner of Welcome Back, Kotter. So let's head on over to the game room, and I'll tell you my final thoughts on Welcome Back, Kotter. All right, so my final thoughts on Welcome Back, Kotter. Well, if you're a fan of the show, which I vaguely remember seeing it because I was born in '74. I got to look up and see what years this show was on. This was made in 1976, so I was pretty young. I vaguely remember the show. But yeah, if you are definitely a fan of the show back in the day, this would definitely be a game you want. It's just a fun, silly game. There's not much strategy to it unless you want to land on somebody else and send them back to start because they're getting close to getting that final word that they might need. You know, I mean, it's very simple, very fun. I think it's one of those games where you just kind of, you know, let's have some fun. You know, let's not, you know, it's kind of early in the day. Let's just have something to just kind of play around, and I think this is a great game to do that. It's not going to be one that's going to be heavy strategy or anything like that. Obviously, I mean, it's just a fun, wholesome little game. You just kind of go around trying to get up your nose with a rubber hose. I mean, that's cool. So. Nostalgia is really huge on this game. Unfortunately, I'm missing the rubber hose in this game. I really wish I would have had that. I have no idea what it looks like. I'll have to go online and see what that looks like. I have no idea. I bought this used. I think it was in a lot. I think it was like 4 or 5 games in this lot, and that one was one of them. That's one of them I wanted because I know I didn't have it. And of course, after the fact, I looked through it and I'm like, oh, I'm missing it. But it's not something you really, really need to have in order to play the game. Thank goodness. I do have all the players. I had the die. Well, die is easy to replace. And all the cards, which is great too. So just missing the rubber hose, I can deal with that. I can live with that. Maybe one of these days I'll come across one. Maybe in an estate sale. Maybe they might have it in there or something. And maybe I can get the game if it's only a couple bucks. Maybe get it better. Because this lid is really... well, actually, it's only that one side, though. The other 3 are pretty sturdy. They're pretty still together. It's just that part right here. Of course, you got tape on it and stuff. You can tell it's old. I mean, it's almost as old as I am. So anyway, I definitely give it a thumbs up. Let's give this game a thumbs up. Just for nostalgia purposes, I definitely give it a thumbs up. It's a fun, just silly, it's just one of those games you just kind of let loose and just, maybe have a drink or two with friends and just play this game. I mean, it's very lighthearted and silly. That's pretty much what it is. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and let me know down below if you are a Welcome Back Kotter fan, or if you're maybe a fan of the game. If you have it, if you don't have it, maybe after you've seen the episode, maybe you'll go check it out. You can definitely easily find this maybe at a thrift store, or like I did, Facebook Marketplace. And also estate sales are a great place to go. Now, I have yet to be in a estate sale here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have yet to go to one. Went to all sorts of ones in California and Orange County. I was there almost every other weekend or every weekend. I was finding one that they would show pictures, and I would actually see board games there. And so a lot of these games came from estate sales, believe it or not. Probably most of these, estate sales and Facebook Marketplace, and of course thrift stores. So best places to find this. So if you're interested in finding this game, that's definitely one of the best places to go. We are not going to pay a whole lot of money for it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, give me that thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe today. And until next time, everybody, happy gaming.